Hello, everyone. This is Cathi Audiobooks and High Horse Press. And today we have the final episode of Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. Finally, after so many years and so many different masters, beauty finds his forever home. At the end, there's an afterword, written by yours truly. Next week, I have a short one. It's going to be sort of an intermission. It's called GRIMM WOMEN and the End of Ever After. It's a very different take on the old tales. It's only going to be a 2-week run, so I hope you tune in for that. In Season 3, we'll get back to the longer classics. Here we go. 49. My Last Home. One day during the summer, the groom cleaned and dressed me with such extraordinary care that I thought some new change must be at hand. He trimmed my fetlocks and legs, passed the tar brush over my hoofs, and even parted my forelock. I think the harness had an extra polish. Willie seemed half anxious, half merry as he got into the chaise with his grandfather. "If the ladies take to him," said the old gentleman, "they'll be suited, and he'll be suited. We can but try." At the distance of a mile or two from the village, we came to a pretty low house with lawn and shrubbery at the front and a drive up to the door. Willie rang the bell and asked if Miss Blomefield or Miss Ellen was at home. Yes, they were. So while Willie stayed with me, Mr. Thorogood went into the house. In about 10 minutes he returned, followed by 3 ladies. One tall, pale lady, wrapped in a white shawl, leaned on a younger lady with dark eyes and a merry face, and the other, a very stately-looking person, was Miss Blomefield. They all came and looked at me and asked questions. The younger lady, that was Miss Ellen, took to me very much, and she said she was sure she should like me. I had such a good face. The tall, pale lady said that she should always be nervous in riding behind a horse that had once been down, as I might come down again, and if I did, she should never get over the fright. "You see, ladies," said Mr. Thorogood, "many first-rate horses have had their knees broken through the carelessness of their drivers without any fault of their own. And from what I see of this horse, I should say that is his case. But of course I do not wish to influence you. If you incline, you can have him on trial, and then your coachman will see what he thinks of him." "You have always been such a good adviser to us about our horses," said the stately lady, "that your recommendation would go a long way with me. And if my sister Lavinia sees no objection, we will accept your offer of a trial, with thanks." It was then arranged that I should be sent for the next day. In the morning, a smart-looking young man came for me. At first he looked pleased, but when he saw my knees, he said in a disappointed voice, "I didn't think, sir, you would have recommended my ladies a blemished horse like that." "Handsome is that handsome does," said my master. "You're only taking him on trial, and I'm sure you'll do fairly by him, young man. If he is not as safe as any horse you ever drove, send him back." I was led to my new home, placed in a comfortable stable, fed and left to myself. The next day, when the groom was cleaning my face, he said, "That is just like the star that Black Beauty had, and he is much the same height, too. I wonder where he is now." A little further on, he came to the place in my neck where I was bled and where a little knot was left in the skin. He almost started and began to look me over carefully, talking to himself. "White star in the forehead, one white foot on the off side, this little knot just in that place." Then looking at the middle of my back, "And as I am alive, there's that little patch of white hair that John used to call Beauty's 3-penny bit. It must be Black Beauty. Why, Beauty, Beauty, do you know me? Little Joe Green, that almost killed you." And he began patting and patting me as if he was quite overjoyed. I could not say that I remembered him, for now he was a fine-grown young fellow, with black whiskers and a man's voice, but I was sure he knew me, and that he was Joe Green, and I was very glad. I put my nose up to him and tried to say that we were friends. I never saw a man so pleased. "Give you a fair trial? I should think so indeed. I wonder who the rascal was that broke your knees, my old beauty. You must have been badly served out somewhere. Well, it won't be my fault if you haven't good times of it now. I wish John Manley were here to see you." In the afternoon, I was put into a low park chair and brought to the door. Miss Ellen was going to try me, and Green went with her. I soon found that she was a good driver, and she seemed pleased with my paces. I heard Joe telling her about me, and that he was sure I was Squire Gordon's old black beauty. When we returned, the other sisters came out to hear how I had behaved myself. She told them what she had heard and said, "I shall certainly write to Mrs. Gordon and tell her that her favorite horse has come to us. How pleased she will be." After this, I was driven every day for a week or so, and as I appeared to be quite safe, Miss Lavinia at last ventured out in the small close carriage. After that, it was quite decided to keep me, and call me by my old name of Black Beauty. I have now lived in this place a whole year. Joe is the best and kindest of grooms. My work is easy and pleasant, and I feel my strength and spirits all coming back. Mr. Thorogood said to Joe the other day, "In your place he will last till he is 20 years old, perhaps more." Willie always speaks to me when he can, and treats me as his special friend. My ladies have promised that I shall never be sold, and so I have nothing to fear. And here my story ends. My troubles are all over, and I am at home. And often, before I am awake, I fancy I am still in the orchard at Birtwick, standing with my old friends under the apple trees. Afterward. I love horses. They hold space in my soul, and the lessons I have learned from them and continue to learn from them have changed my life. Narrating this audiobook struck me on a deeply personal level. As Beauty's voice, I worked hard to convey his pain and sense of betrayal at the hands of man. Yet his kindness and purity of spirit, though life-affirming, were even more painful, for he never stopped believing that if he was good and true and always did his best, he would be treated fairly. Unfortunately, as we all know too well, things don't always work that way. There will always be those that take advantage of that goodness. His life did turn out well in the end, but only after suffering many years of hardship. Anna Sewell captured joy of freedom through the eyes of a horse, the quiet strength of loyalty and devotion, and the unbearable sorrow of cruelty. There were poignant moments, the friendships Beauty formed with the horses he met throughout his journey, the gentleness of Jerry Barker, but far too many were tragic, most notably Ginger's life and ultimately her fate. It is impossible to listen to this story without experiencing both grief and gratitude. Grief for the suffering endured by so many horses, and gratitude that their stories were told. When Sewell first wrote Black Beauty in 1877, working horses filled the streets of every city, pulling carriages, cabs, and carts. They were essential to human life, yet often treated as tools rather than as living beings. Even today, there are places where that remains the case. By giving Beauty a voice, Sewell reminds readers and listeners that animals experience pain, fear, and love just as we do. This book had a profound impact, leading to greater awareness of cruelty and inspiring reforms such as the end of the bearing rein. Black Beauty was never just a children's story. It was a plea for compassion. Though the world has changed, the lessons remain the same. Horses no longer pull cabs in London, but they still labor, and far too many still endure neglect and mistreatment. Sewell's words remind us that true kindness is timeless. They call on us to see every animal not as property or ornament, but as a fellow creature deserving of gentleness and respect. Horses are a huge part of my life. They embody strength, grace, and patience, yet they rely on us for care and protection. Although I have always honored and remained true to that bond, telling Beauty's story has made me even more aware of my horses' voices, to listen, to protect, and to cherish them. Both Anna Sewell and I gave Black Beauty a voice, but she also gave us a choice to be better, to do better, and to carry compassion into our own lives. May we continue to keep that promise for Beauty, for Ginger, for Merrylegs, for Captain, and for every horse who has ever carried the weight of human hands. And there you have it. This has been Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, brought to you by Cathi Audiobooks and High Horse Press. A new take on the old classics. Make sure you tune in next Wednesday when we start GRIMM Women and the End of Ever After by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, with the introduction, Afterward, and essays from the villain's point of view, written by me. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow this podcast or subscribe wherever you listen, and leave a review to help other listeners discover these timeless stories. As always, thank you for listening.